everybody. This is Susan Marco with Trance Talks. And we have conversations with practitioners across many different alternative modalities and disciplines. And oh my gosh, today I am so excited to have this conversation with this amazing woman, Darryn Silver, who is an LCSW. Darryn and I have not known each other for a terribly long time, but I feel like I've known her for a long time. And we are getting to know each other on a deeper level now. And what I'm learning about her and how she works in the world inspires me so much that I was so anxious. I couldn't wait to get her booked in to have this conversation with us, because I know you're going to love her as much as I do. What Darryn does, she's a certified transformational breath facilitator and a group leader. And she's also an integrative inquiry coach and therapist. And, I just want to throw in a little extra something about that to have that training and credential as a licensed clinical social worker and to, move into another realm says a lot about who you are, Darryn, and how you like to work. And so I could go on and on, but I want to give you the floor to share with, our listeners. Who are you and why are you doing what you're doing? And, whatever you want to share.
Yeah. First off, just thank you for that heartfelt introduction. I was chuckling when you said, integrative, inquiry, intuitive, like it's all that. And we are all that, right? And so much more. And when you ask me who I am, that's such a loaded question because I feel like it's been a lifetime of human doings gravitating towards being a human being. And so my life experience is really my service to my clients. It comes in so many different modalities because, I'll just share. And when I was very, very young, I had a natural curiosity for metaphysics. I didn't really know the word metaphysics, but I would ask questions like, what keeps our heart beating? And what is love? And I also had a sense that when energy coalesced and took form, that the physical was metaphorical for something that was happening in other realms, in our subconscious, in our unconscious, in the collective unconscious. So, for example, I came into this lifetime with horrible, horrible seasonal allergies. And I recognized at a very young age that was metaphoric for being extremely sensitive to external environment. And like so many of us, we're concerned with what other people think and all of that. But I had a heightened sensitivity to that. And the allergies were just an expression of that. So a lot of what I do, getting back to that, is I support people in their own rediscovery of their essence, okay? And in rediscovering their essence, so essence to me, the definition of essence is the true and invariable nature of a thing, the unchanging thing, right? And it came to me decades ago that my true nature, everybody's true nature, and this may sound corny, I think my family teases me about this, but is that we are all, I get so choked up even just thinking about it because it's such a truth that we are all pure, unconditional, luminous, loving light energy. But there are so many veils, so many masks, so many layers that, like turbulence, clouds, weather patterns that get in the way of really consistently experiencing ourselves as our true nature, that we find all these different modalities to support us to come home to ourselves. hypnosis is obviously one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So my background, just to give you a little idea of where I'm coming from. So I had this kind of knowingness when I was very young. But like all of us, I was conditioned and there was imprinting, and that was all about functioning, being efficient, be effective. It was important to be successful. It was important to make a lot of money. So where do you go when you get those tenants? You go to Wall Street and you do that, and you don't even speak in full sentences. So everything was goal oriented. And I'd say about 7 years in, I started getting these. I had a lot of, I guess you could call it mystical experiences or awakenings, just a stronger knowing, a stronger inner sense, a stronger guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And after 10 years, I left and I went back to grad school. And I also went to the Institute of Cognitive and Behavioral Therapy and went from running long distance to yoga. So I did a complete 180-degree turnabout. I went from immediacy to process, which was quite an experience. You know, there's a lot of grieving to let go of those old tenants. And I can't say that it's all done, because it isn't, because there's always another layer.
Sure.
Yeah. So, so being fascinated with these things. So now I'm a therapist and I'm working with people that are transitioning out of life into the ethereal realm, back home is what I call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my curiosity was still, you know, I was very fascinated with beyond the physical. And so my husband and I, it came to us, sacred plant medicines, ayahuasca and things like that. So we actually went down to Costa Rica and spent quite a bit of time there, exploring that. And that's where we found breath work.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say that I remember when I was in grad school and I was learning psychodynamic work, it felt to me like something was missing. And it was the body. The body wasn't completely engaged back then. This is in the 90s. So when breathwork was presented to me, and my husband Kirk actually had an amazing experience the first time, where his perception of who he was in relation to his mother's death, he had found his mother. I was sold. I was like, wow, one breath session. And he went from feeling guilt to feeling like a superhero. I personally did not have that same experience. For me, I came home from Costa Rica. I got on the mat every morning for 6 months doing this practice. And unbeknownst to me at the time, presence was showing me an example of my consciousness. In other words, my consciousness was, it has to be hard in order for it to be beneficial or worthy to get it. So here I was on the mat for 6 months until I finally had an epiphany and things shifted. And I want to share with you that story. Can I do that?
Yeah, please do.
Because I think this gives a really good example of what breath work can do, and it can also be something that somebody can have their own practice. So I like to, you know, I see myself as a servant and I see myself as a facilitator. I create the set and the setting, and then I allow whatever wants to be known to surface without controlling anything, without just being a loving presence. And that is not how I was raised. Like I was raised control, and it's not that those things aren't still there, they are, but in session, something so sweet and so magical and so tender and gentle takes over that I just want to live in that room all the time. So this is what happened for me. So the breath work that we do is, just to give you a little technical background before I tell you the story, is it's a conscious, connected, diaphragmatic breath. And when you're doing this kind of breath work, there's no pause between the inhale or the exhale. All right.
Okay.
So it's not a hyperventilation though. The body is super relaxed, or it gradually relaxes more and more. And as we relax more, we're able to receive more oxygen. So we're not really doing, we're more receiving. Okay. And we're cultivating a high vibrational frequency between us and our breath. So our breath, and like breath in 11 different languages, is spirit. So what we're really doing is we're connecting with whatever, this je ne sais quoi, this thing that we don't exactly know what it is, but is our best friend, our lover, our confidant, you know, our constant companion, our whole entire life, always there for us. Yeah. And that cultivates a higher frequency on our electromagnetic field. So when that happens, denser energies. So the law of entrainment says that when there are two fields of energy in somewhat close proximity to one another, the higher vibrational energies never descend to the lower, but the lower rise up and are transmuted or transformed by the higher ones. So when we're doing this breath work, people might have sensations, their body temperature might change, there's emotions of, fear, anxiety, greed, jealousy, frustration, intolerance, and they start to bubble up. They feel something along with that, and then they're transmuted, because we know energy never ceases to exist, but it changes form. So that's what's happening on a scientific energetic level. So this is what happened to me. I was doing my own breath session, and usually about 20 minutes to 30 minutes in, for most people, they get activated, meaning the breath breathes them. Okay. In the beginning, we're working at it, right? And then something happens and we're just lifted off. So I'm breathing and I'm breathing, and I'm feeling something very queasy in my stomach, very nauseating, something that feels quite disgusting and repulsive. But I'm skilled enough to just stay with it, and I'm breathing, and I let out quite a loud aromatic belch. Okay. And so there was a pocket of energy within myself that was released. And as that happened, I was fully activated. And so I would receive the next inhale and I would expand. And then I would surrender and let go. So whereas on the inhale, I was expanding. On the exhale, I was surrendering even more. But here, when I say surrender, I mean I was relaxing more. Okay. And it got to a point where I couldn't relax anymore. Like I had hit my limit. Like I wanted to. And I felt like a tinge of disappointment in myself that I couldn't relax any more than that, that had gotten to my my limit at that time. And I got a very, very clear message. And the message was that love loves everything, that there is absolutely nothing outside of the realm of love, and that no matter how much I surrendered, no matter how much I relaxed, yeah, um, love is ever expanding. So there's no limit to it. And that love even loved me in my feelings of repulsion or disgust. So that's the experience, right? And everybody has their own experience, their own epiphany, their own happening within a breath session, and that becomes their North Star. So now comes the integration piece. So now we have a fully embodied cellular memory of knowing that we are part of this love, and we are loved in every aspect. So no matter what we do, we can't be wrong. We may, quote, I guess on a human level, have choices that we would prefer to have made better choices, but they're learning opportunities, yeah. And so now the integration is that has stayed with me, and it's a reminder for me. So, whatever happens in a session is so divinely unique for each and every person. And we sort of tease out what are the most significant tenets for that person, and how can we keep them top of mind. And very often recording what happened after the session, because the feelings are so strong and so behind it that it can trigger the emotions, like it can ignite those emotions again when you lose sight of who you are. So how's that?
Yeah. How is that? That's amazing.
It is.
It's amazing. And, it's interesting because a few things came up for me when you were talking. The idea of facilitating and holding space, and how, like, when you're searching out for someone or you're looking for a practitioner to work with, how do you discern? How do you know that that person really has you? And when, just sharing your experience and how that played out for you. And also, we were discussing before we jumped on, we had a brief chat, and we were talking about knowing or not knowing what we were going to be talking about here, and how, that sometimes if we just sit and allow and let it be, that can actually bring a lot of safety. And so those two things kind of crossed my mind at the same time, that, you know, knowing and hearing your story. And I mean, from the minute I met you anyway, I would feel safe with you. So there is, there is an energy, about that you are a safe person. And also, in that not knowing, I'm kind of going off on a riff here, right?
Yeah. Let's do it.
That, sometimes that's where the real healing happens. That's where the deeper healing can happen, is when we surrender and let go of the need to know what, how, when, and where, and to trust the process.
Yes.
Right? There needs to be trust in you as the practitioner, but also to trust the process. And how do we know that? It's intuitive. We either feel good about what we're going to do or we don't.
Yeah, and for me, this is an ending. I feel like I should be paying my clients.
I know.
Because I receive so much. They're my mirrors, and they're so validating, and they give me an opportunity, because I do much better in relation. I'm a very much like yourself. I love what you're doing. You're a connector. You just thrive in connection, and because your heart gets to just be burst right open, and you want to just share that epic heart with the whole world. And it's just a sweet spot. And it is, the world is changing, and I feel like I came in on a more of a yang energy, more forward motion, more assertive, more chasing things. And my soul wants to have a different experience, more yin, but I don't have it. I really don't know what, because it's messy and it's not organized and it's not planned out and it's not controlled. And, can I trust that? And so I feel like what you're doing, Susie, is you're creating a container for people to come on and be who they are. And the more we do that, whether it's in hypnosis or breath work or EMDR or whatever it is, we're giving permission for people to take down those veils and be who they are. And we don't have to carry this facade. We're dismantling the patriarchy is actually what I mean. Like we can release the hierarchy and the comparison and the competition and recognize the uniqueness in that we can live in a circular community. I mean, that's what I want, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel really hopeful about that. I really do. I feel like,
Yeah.
just even the deeper desire for me to create this
Mhm.
is, about that. It's about bringing us all together and recognizing that everyone has their unique super sauce or, special thing, whether you're a practitioner or a person in the world, doesn't matter what your job is or what you do. We all bring something unique to this life and to our life. And the more that we can help each other foster that and grow that and develop that, the happier our world will be.
Yeah, and I want to say one other thing about that is, and it doesn't even have to be professionally, like it's really
Yeah.
just how we come to each situation. And that's a tough one because the world still tells us, how are you contributing? What are you doing? And to move from a place of complete inspiration and wait for that to come and then trust that it will come at the right time,
Yeah.
that in and of itself is a lesson, right?
100%.
Yeah. So it's a whole shift in the paradigm. It's a whole shift in perspective. And I will just say, I don't know how much time we have left, but I made a vision board decades ago. And one of the big, big parts of the vision board was shift in perspective. And if I can't tell you that has happened and it continues to happen, because we can always look at things from a greater a vantage point of greater love, I guess.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I feel like, we have those filters with which we perceive what is going on in our world or in the world. And the more that we can, grow, learn, release, let go of the things that are not true for us, those filters change. And so our perception changes and we're able to see things in a different way.
Yeah,
Hopefully in a more expanded, evolution of our true self.
it is. And yeah,
I just want to say this so I
yeah,
don't forget to throw this in there, is one of my questions that I usually ask in this process is, who or what kind of people would be drawn to work with you? Like, who's the ideal person to work with you? And as you were talking, it fell in for me. Like, I like to work with myself. I always see like a younger version of myself. And when you said, my clients are my teachers, like I learn so much about myself from them.
yeah.
So if there's anything else you want to say about that really dropped in big for me.
I'd say most of my clients are people that are just curious.
Mm.
They're curious about they're curious, they're hungry, they're fascinated about what makes them tick. Sometimes there's a quote problem, but that soon becomes just the portal into a deeper understanding of themselves and to see themselves from the top down, meaning from that pure, unconditional, luminous, loving light energy. And we're in this together, practicing that together, because if I see you as a ray of light, and you have this little poem, I am you, you are me, we blend in perfect harmony.
Yeah.
So, like, we just keep practicing these things, and also recognizing that if something uncomfortable comes up, if something is triggery, that I don't have to do anything about it. I just need to lean back and sit and feel it, and let it reveal more to myself, and have, and have trusted confidants to bounce that off. Right. So I guess you could say I can be a trusted confidant for some people. Yeah.
I love that also, that notion of my triggers are actually my friends.
Yeah.
My triggers help me to find the pockets and the places where I'm not in my soul's alignment,
Yeah.
And so I love that.
I would, I want to refine that even a little bit more. One of the things I share with people, because I think, I was conditioned that certain feelings are okay to have and to always move towards them, and other feelings not so okay. And it continues to be a process, because I may have over identified, oh, if I feel jealous, that means I'm a jealous person, right? So what I have done for myself, and I offer this to my clients too, is that each emotion is like a child, and learning to be with each one of those children on their own terms, and just sort of sitting down on the floor with that 2-year-old, and just watching it and being with it has helped me tremendously. And just giving space, holding space for our inner, those little critters inside of us. So hopefully somebody can take that and use that, and so that if they feel angry, they can be with that part of themselves, or whatever.
That's such a beautiful metaphor,
So,
right? Like, how can I hold my anger in a healing way? How can I hold the shame or the grief that comes up, and to think about it, to use that metaphor of it being like a child? What would I do with that child? How would I hold that child?
exactly.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. So I have a process. It's about a 10-week process. That's a more intense process for people. But just some people come once a year, some people come once a month, some people come once a week. It really varies based on the person, and there's no set formula for any of that.
That was one of my questions, so thank you. Thank you for jumping in with that. And I do have one more question.
Sure.
And we are going to wrap it up, but what would you say is the key to success for your clients?
All right. So I'm going to tell you my previous definition, okay?
Yep.
Which was obviously money and accolades and all of that, because that was what I was taught. It's a long story, but I got the acronym successful while driving one day, and it was the word successful broken down to sending undivided, crystal clear exhaltations, so soulfulness fortifies unilateral love. I know that's like a wow, right? But I think deep inside my soul is success is feeling connected to yourself
Yeah.
on a very deep level, and trusting, so that everything's coming from a much more authentic place, and life tends to just unfold perfectly that way. So to me, that's what success is. And it will look different for different people.
Yeah. Beautiful. So, Darryn, if somebody wanted to reach out to you to work with you, how's the best way for people to contact you?
They can either use my cell phone, is 732-977-3233, or contact us through our website, which is presenceofthewind.com. And that's a whole story in and of itself. So maybe part 2.
Part 2. Yeah, and all of that will be in the show notes also. So if if you're driving right now and you can't write it down, or whatever you're doing at the moment, you'll be able to access that when you either listen to this podcast or watch the video. I want to really give you a heartfelt thank you for taking the time to come and chat with me. And I have a feeling, we may actually do a part 2, because this is a really fun conversation.
Yeah.
So,
you're a beautiful soul. Thank you for putting yourself out there and bringing this information, all different modalities to people, because you're a game changer.
oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.
Love you, honey.
Love you too.